Going back to the thought the foreigner is paying for everything or like a sugar daddy. I mean, if you see a 70-year-old foreigner with a 20-year-old Filipina, I mean, you can only assume one thing, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, that's a very symbiotic relationship. Actually,
Yeah,
yes,
hi.
I've had Filipino girlfriends in the past, and it's an interesting topic because I mean, going back to the thought the foreigner is paying for everything or like a sugar daddy. I mean, if you see a 70-year-old foreigner with a 20-year-old Filipina, I mean, you can only assume one thing, right? But
Yeah.
at the same time, that's a very symbiotic relationship because seeing foreigner is providing money for the Filipina, and then the Filipina, um, he wants to be with the Filipina because he wants to be with a young woman and feel love and sweetness from somebody. So it's a trade off, right? So
Yeah.
so, kasi I mean, of course, I'm the other perspective, right? I'm not Pinoy. I'm a foreigner, right? So I get all the stereotypes na din
Mm.
about what people think about foreigners na users sila, fuckboys, cheaters,
Yeah.
liars, all of this stuff,
Mm.
right? So I mean, minsan medyo hurtful sa akin because I've had Filipino relationships. I'm in a relationship with a Filipina, right? So and our relationship is very good. And you see mga other showbiz personalities. Isa Calzado is married to a foreigner. They have a beautiful marriage and they now have a newborn son. So it's like there's a lot of good examples na din eh. So I think
Mm.
it really depends. And there's a lot of things in society like that. What's different from a congressman dating a young Filipina girl, right? Or a bombshell girl. I mean, it's all a trade-off din, right? So para sa akin, um, I mean, I love Filipinas. I'm happy to be in a relationship with a Filipina because Filipinos are very loving, maasikaso, magpagmahal. And para sa amin, I think a lot of Pinays like being with AFAM or foreigners because we have a different mentality, right? So a lot of Filipinos have gone through relationships with other Pinoys and didn't like how it went, siguro sa ugali nila. So gusto nila matry foreigner, right? Because different mindset, and so I think that's why a lot of Filipinos would like to date a foreigner because say we're obviously a lot different, not as emotional. We're a bit cold. We were raised differently, right? So I think that's sort of the good thing about it. And I mean, this movie kind of puts a bad light on Afam
Yeah.
in the end, right? But I would like to bring a good light to foreigners in Manila and in the Philippines because we're not just bad people, and I think a lot of us get labeled as that. And
Mm.
so I'm really trying to change the stigma. Although I really wouldn't really consider myself a fam anymore, Neil. I'm very Filipinoized na.
Yeah, of course.
Yung
Pusong
mentality
Pinoy
ko.
na. Yeah, you know.
Pinoy now. I even believe in multo in mga aswang. So I am 100% Filipino now, Neil. That's hard. Not to the extent of what my character did in this movie kasi I mean grabe yung ginawa niya sa kanila, right? He played the girls, he tricked them just for to make money and to use them for his
Yes.
business, right? So I'm not sure if I would go to that extent, but to be honest, I'm not walang plastikan dito, right? I was kind of like JJ and Jamie date. I mean, I was playing around, making lying to women, playing with them, having more than one girlfriend at once. So I think na experience ko yan. I'm not afraid to admit it, right? I think every man went through this phase in their life at some point. So siguro that point, but not to the extent of what my character went through in this movie kasi grabe yung ginawa niya in the end. But I won't spoil it. So siguro a part of the character I lived, but other parts I would never go to that extent. Hirap kasi it's case to case, right? I mean, minsan the Filipina is the victim, minsan the Afam is the victim, right? I think it really depends on um, the Afam that you're dealing with kasi I think ako it goes both ways eh. I think I've seen cases where grabe yung ginawa ng mga foreigner, right? But also it's baliktad also. Minsan the Filipina is using the foreigner for money or to get a passport or get a visa and leave the country. Yung mga ganyan, right? So I think it goes both ways. I think ganun talaga sa mundo. It doesn't really matter if it's a foreigner and a Filipino or a Filipina and a Pinoy. May mga ganyan always in relationships. I mean, this movie, Afam, puts a bad light on us, Afam, right? As parang scammers and cheaters, right? I mean, which is okay because it's a comedy, right? And I loved portraying this role, and I loved how Lynette directed this movie, and the writing by Sai Ramos, ang galing niya. So that's sort of the theme on this movie, but minsan baliktad. It just really depends on the relationship between the two.
Pero di ba it's dangerous to parang generalize, right?
Yeah, yung nga, that's why ayoko talaga yung mga generalizations, Richard. Like I'm just actually pagod na ako sa mga generalizations. With not only Filipinas that go through these relationships, but also us foreigners. I mean, I get stereotyped every day. It's impossible for me not to. And at the end of the day, I love the Philippines. I love Filipinos, and I respect Filipinas. So to hear those kinds of things, medyo, I mean, nasasaktan ako minsan. I'm not gonna lie. But again, I cannot speak for every foreigner around Manila. Kasi. So there's some, unfortunately, foreigners that put a bad light on others. Minsan, and that's grabe yun. Pero us good foreigners, like I was just talking about Ben White, Isa Calzado's husband, right? He's a good friend of mine, and he's another good example of like how those relationships can really work, and stuff. So ako din, I'm really trying to have a maayos na relationship and prove to not only my partner but other people that yes, a Filipina can have a very good relationship with a foreigner. Something that is a mutualistic relationship where both people love each other. It's pure love. It's not someone wants money or someone wants something from each other. It's a trade-off. There is such thing as pure love between a foreigner and a Filipino, and that's what I plan to keep proving as I spend my career here in the Philippines. Oh, actually, Leo, parang I'm the other way around eh.
Yes.
I would love to have an anak na may lahi with Filipino, right? Kasi
Yes.
maganda talaga yung mix. So as much as the mga babae dito want a half-half na child, ako din eh. I mean, I would love to have a kid that's half Filipino, half Italiano. Because, I mean, Liza Soberano, I mean, it's a beautiful mix. So I mean, I would love that din eh. And I think it's ingrained in society now, right? Siguro dahil sa colonizations of the Spaniards and the Americans and the Japanese, that's where that kind of developed na having lahi or having tangos ilong or a whiter skin gives you a higher place in society. I think that is because of the history of the Philippines. Is it right? I don't think it's right at all. I think everybody should be treated equally, right? Pero it's so ingrained in society now. It's a part of it, diba, Leo? Like, you look at mga beauty pageant, girls, catch her in a gray, right? I mean,
may mga lahi na sila.
Diba? Lahat sila may lahi, and look at them now. So, ganun talaga. But I would love to see I think it's morena and full Filipino, that Filipino beauty is coming back. I think it's slowly making its way back into society. So it's kind of cool to see. Na hindi puro may lahi are those successful ones in life, or the ones that are treated, with higher status.
Pero morena and Italiano like you, napaka-perfect ng lahi nun, I'm sure.
Totoo yan. Totoo yan.
Yeah.
Nag-try ko ang online dating dati, pero hindi nag-work. Nag-Tinder ako before. Actually, nag-Tinder ako when I first came to the Philippines. Hindi pa ako nag-artista nung time. I was just doing modeling here, very very basic. I was only planning on staying for like 3 months. Tapos, nag-Tinder ako. the match ko with this one girl, and super pretty. She's a picture, right? So I met her in Greenbelt Mall, and she ended up being trans. So hindi ko alam na trans siya. So, syempre, I mean, galing ako sa North America and Europe, right? So there's not as many trans in North America as there is here. So nagulat talaga ako. Her voice was deep, right? She said like, "Hi, I'm Sarah," but it was like really, really deep, like deeper than my voice. So,
Oh no.
pero I
So how
wasn't
did you
like,
feel? How did you feel? Like,
I would like, syempre nagulat ako, Phoebe, but hindi ako disrespectful or anything, and I'm never discriminatory against LGBTQ. So I did have a date with her. We had coffee. We had a very nice conversation, and we became friends after that. I mean, we never dated after that, but she was actually a very nice person, and I enjoyed hanging out with her. So that was kind of funny. But after that, I officially closed my Tinder account. I lost all trust in the process, and I
oh,
truly, I feel like you meet the people that you fall in love with in the least likeliest places, and I'm just a strong believer of that. Of never forcing anything. You meet all types of people in the unlikeliest places, and happy ako na I've met somebody in my life, in my relationship, that I never planned on meeting or I never was looking for it nung time. So I think online dating is very useful for some people that are, stuck in their routines, or siguro they work from home, or they don't get a lot of exposure to the outside world. Perfect yan. Especially for, I mean, even a Filipina that's looking to meet an AFAM. I mean, online dating is a great option because it's not like there's a guapong AFAM just like walking around on the block, right? Or, you know what I mean? So the online dating helps connect those people. I rather the organic way, the old school way of just randomly running into somebody in a coffee shop and saying like, "Hey, you want to like grab a coffee, or you want to go for a walk, or something like that." Mas okay dyan, for me. And not meeting somebody in Revel and Silo. That's number one. I realize those relationships never work out. They're always
mhm.
fail when you meet someone when
Yeah.
kissing ka or nagwawalwal ka. So that's my answer in a very long-winded explanation.
Great.
Friends pa rin. In terms of my work going forward, medyo malabo dahil sa schedule ko, and the fact that they're based in Thailand. So as of now, I'm sure nakita nyo, I'm not a part of the roster for Miss Universe for hosting, right? So I'll be hosting for Mr. International na lang this year, which is a male national pageant. So wala ako this time sa Miss Universe, pero sana next year. And wala kaming concrete plans going forward in terms of work. Sana I can go back to Thailand and work for JKN. Fingers crossed, and everything. Pero hindi ko pa alam, to be honest. And for the viewing of AFAM, I'm not sure. Probably not kasi sobrang busy siya. I mean, she's the CEO of a public company as well as the owner of Miss Universe. So medyo higpit sa oras. So unfortunately, probably not. And I'm not too sure in terms of my plans going forward with JKN. So tignan natin. Sorry, it's not a very definite answer, but that's all that I can give you at this point in time.
Okay. So next question is still related to this thread. Paano nagsimula ang friendship nyo? And may plans ka ba to see her next month during Miss Universe Philippines?
Probably. So again, based on what I said earlier, probably not. Kasi I'm not really up with Miss Universe this year. I was last year, of course, and then also pumunta ako sa Thailand for Miss Universe Extravaganza to host. But this year, since I'm tied up with Mr. International, and they're actually kind of falling on the same days, same month, so I'll be quite busy with Mr. International from the preliminaries leading up into the coronation night. So I baka hindi kami mag-overlap, to be, pero tignan natin.